All right, so in your default layout, you have your standard toolbar options: File, Edit, Multi-Track, Clip, Effects, Favorites, View, Window, and Help, okay? The biggest thing to tell is whether you're in multi-track or in clips. That is the only real thing that matters between how your work flows, okay? Which is your workflow, okay? If you open any file, for instance, if I go to File, Open, or if I use the Open File button to open a file, so let's say I open Love to Love You Baby. This is what pops up. Now, you see two waveforms here, one on the top, one on the bottom. That's because this is a stereo wave file. Remember, stereo means two channels, right? Typically meaning because you have two ears. So we can assume that one is meant for the left ear and the other is meant for the right ear, okay? Most wave files default to a stereo format. If you record your own, it might default to a mono format, which will just have the one waveform, right? Now, I'm using a mouse with a scroll wheel because it makes this work so much easier. I know people who love trackpads more than mouse wheels, and that's strange to me. But for me, working with a scroll wheel makes your job a whole lot easier. All right, so I've decided I want to cut that at the end of that beat, right before the next beat lands. So zooming in here, we can see, okay, there's some amplitude right there. There's our ADSR, as it were, our envelope. We have an attack going up, then our decay, and then our sustain. Okay, that's our ADSR. Now I want to cut off this loop right before that beat hits. See, there's the beat. I can see the beat right here. And I want to cut it before the attack starts on that beat. And this one's kind of building up before that, so I'm even going to scroll back to there. Great thing about Audition, it automatically cuts at the zero crossing. That's what I love about Audition so much. What I mean by that is, you see how the wave file is going up and down and up and down and up and down, right? That's our compression and rarefaction. So even when I zoom in, it's going up and down and up and down and up and down. Okay, so think compression, rarefaction, compression, rarefaction, compression, rarefaction. If you were to cut it when it's not at the zero crossing, which is our red line, if you were to cut it in one of these points, which I can't make Audition do this anymore, thankfully, because it's so wonderful. If I were to cut it not at a zero crossing, such as if I were to cut it with Audacity at one of these peaks, what would happen is it would be a straight line from this peak to the zero, or to wherever I cut it from, which means your speaker, no matter what you're playing it back out of, whether it's room speakers, earbuds, anything, would try to be in two places at the same time. A straight vertical line, you can think of where this is as where the physical speaker is in space. So if you have a vertical line, perfectly vertical line, anywhere in your audio file, your speaker cone wants to be both compressed and rarefacted at the same time, which sounds like. So this is going to cut at a zero crossing. Now for me to cut this, I just want to trim it from where it is. So I'm going to hold the shift button from right here. So I'm holding the shift button, then I'm going to drag the selection to the end of the file. I'm going to hit delete. Now I still have this silence at the beginning of the file, and I don't want that silence. So I'm going to zoom all the way in here, right before our waveform starts. Do the same thing, zooming back out, and cut the back of the file. Now, down at the bottom here, we have our transport tools. These are how we play back sound. At the very bottom, we have our audio levels that show how loud things are getting, going from -60 dB, roughly, to a 0 dB. When we cross 0, then we get clipping. We get that ugly sound. So transport tools are much like you've seen before: stop, play, pause, back, forward, etc. This one right here is just what it looks like. It's loop playback. So if I hit loop playback and hit play, or hit the space bar, it should loop pretty well because of where I cut it. See, it's so close, but that one guitar throws it off. Oh.
We could just theoretically, if you were actually trying to get this loop, could you just take the first?
I could just take the first one. Yeah. The problem is when you're making a loop, the smaller the loop, the more annoying it gets. Okay.